Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice and the
Are
Commissioner.
you well?
I'm well, Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you very well. Tell us very briefly why you want the transfer.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Maybe I should start with explaining why I left Gauteng, why I transferred to Mpumalanga. I transferred to Mpumalanga due to medical conditions. Now that I am healed, and the fact that my transfer was also premised on the fact that I will be, or we will be selling our family home, and that hasn't materialized. So it is, we found it probable that must come back to Gauteng because I am healed. I healed gradually. Thank you.
Thank you. JP, I think I must hand over to you, but before I do, let me just have the list of colleagues who would want to put questions to the judge. Colleagues?
Nyambi.
Matolo Lepu.
Schlemmer.
Mpofu.
Sorry, Prof, who came after you before Mpofu SC? Who came after?
It was Matolo Lepu.
No, she came before you, Prof.
Then I think it was just me, and after me it was Mpofu.
Okay, thank you.
Kenny Kane.
And who was after JSC?
Singh.
Thank you. JP.
Sigogo CJ.
Oh, okay, Commissioner Sigogo. All right, JP.
Thank you very much, CJ. Jolingo.
Dr. Divan, JP.
You left one also important reason why you want to come back to Gauteng. Can you mention it, please?
Thank you, JP. I believe I will add value to the development of jurisprudence in the tax court because Gauteng, the tax court of Gauteng division is a very busy tax court in the country.
Thank you very much. I wonder why you left out, but at least now it's out there. Now, I didn't prepare a spreadsheet for you because you are a judge. Instead, you prepared a list of judgments. And those are just tax court judgments, am I correct?
Yes, JP.
Now, in how many of those were you reversed?
3 of them, JP.
Thank you. Now, the GCB makes a lot about one matter where you were reversed by the Supreme Court of Appeal.
Yes, JP.
Do you have any comments about that?
Yes, JP. It's Sasol versus Commissioner for South African Revenue Service. The GCB's comments are to the effect that the SCA.
They say you didn't pay attention to detail, and
yes, and others.
And it's your area of expertise. I just want you to deal with that.
Yes, JP.
Yeah.
Maybe in that one we are referring to Amawele on that one.
Okay.
The Amawele, there are 2 judgments where they are complaining about my area of expertise.
Yes.
I did Amawele in 2014 whilst I was acting, but that's not the reason for the error there. It was a mistake because I was supposed to have ordered the interest to run from the date of assessment, not from the date of the order. Be that as it may, another day that judgment was reversed because it went to the full court, to our division, and our division confirmed me, and the issue of interest was a cross appeal. But in the end, The matter went to the SCA and the SCA overturned the full court.
I see. And in any way, it's an occupational hazard for any judge to be reversed, isn't it?
Yes.
Now
JP.
and then by an appeal court.
Yes, JP.
Right. And you just to end off, you will add value to the jurisprudence of the tax role in Gauteng, but you've also done other things since you were, before you transferred to Mpumalanga in the tax court.
Yes, JP.
Do you want to just spend a minute, just explain what you did?
JP, in the tax court, to summarize it, I brought the transformation of the tax court or of the functioning of the tax court. One of the problems which are found in the tax court was the issue of selection of tax court members equivalent to assessors in other courts. A judge will go to court and will meet the assessors on that day at the door. You don't even know the assessor, and a SARS who happens to be a litigant or a party to the matter has already chosen the assessors or the tax court members. I was not raising, in fact, I used to raise this issue when I was a member of the LSNP and sitting in the tax committee. We raised it many times, but it was not attended to.
But in a nutshell, you resolved that.
In a nutshell, I resolved it, and it even went through my judgment, the Renette judgment, which was confirmed by SCA.
Yes.
Though the SCA didn't say anything about that, because the SCA looked at the main matter, that is the accrual issue,
Yes.
where they agreed with me. But I wrote at a length in that judgment about Section 120, the lacuna in Section 120 of the Tax Administration Act, which deals with the appointment of tax court members. Because Section 120 does not prescribe what the duty of the tax court members is or how they get selected, except that they get appointed by the minister because they are accountants or commercial members, and it ends there. Then on daily basis, practically, when a judge gets a matter, it's silent. That's where I got into. At the end of the day, we ended up with a policy which is applied nationally to the effect that the judge must have a say on the tax court members, and it must be based on the issues which are in the matter. As a result, now we get 3 names for the commercial member, 3 names for the accountant member, and the judge has to match that with the issues before him or her and be able to say, this tax court member can assist me in this issue. For example, without dwelling too much on this.
Let me stop you there. I think
Thank you,
you've made your point, and thank you for assisting us in that regard. But I don't want to leave this out.
Thank you.
You also found that people who did not fit the description in the act to be tax court members
Yes,
were being imposed on judges.
yes,
And that your intervention has resulted in all those matters, those non-qualifying members being pruned from the system.
yes, GP.
Yeah, I mean, one famous example is Judge Satchwell sitting with a former school teacher.
Yes, GP.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. I've got no further questions.
CJ, just a follow-up.
Thank you, Judge President. Honorable Malema.
I think the JP was a bit impatient because of time, but she's got a very important information to share. And I think that we must be a bit patient with her because I'm interested in how she transformed SARS court. And you were dealing with how the assessors were being appointed and how you intervened. I think I need that part so you can expand on it, how you transform the whole court.
Thank you, Commissioner. Maybe I must give a background to how this came into being, because it's the issues we're raising whilst I was still outside. Then I got an opportunity as a judge. The opportunity came in this sense. I was sitting in this matter, the Renette matter versus a commissioner for SARS. And then one of the tax court members, a commercial member, you have two members, an accountant member, supposed to be an accountant, and a commercial member. The problem is too much on the commercial members. That's why you get a teacher, you get a correctional service officer, you get anyone SARS likes or liked to come and assist you. And some of them will even tell you, oh, I don't even know tax. And you're like, why are you here? No, SARS decided to appoint me. And then those people are imposed on you. Fortunately, in this matter, I had an attorney coming from one of the big law firms who was supposed to be a commercial member to assist me. Firstly, the law is very clear that the only person in the tax court who's supposed to decide issues of law is a judge and no one else. So you don't need a lawyer to sit with you or to assist you. But I was patient because there was no clear policy. I sat with this gentleman and the tax court member. When we were supposed now to write a judgment or to come to the conclusion, he says, Judge, send me a judgment to write. I said, no, I write my own judgments. You are not supposed to write judgments. You'll hear from me. I'm going to write a judgment. This is how I'm going to do it. This is how I write my court. I'm going to write a judgment, send it to you, you comment. He came back. Fortunately, everything was in writing. He kept on pestering. When are you sending me the judgment? And when I explained, I'm still writing my judgment. In fact, when we were discussing, the matter took about a week sitting. So we'll have tea time, we sit, we talk, we speak. And then he even said, I harbor the desire that SARS may win this case. I kept quiet. Then he started pestering me for the judgment. He wrote, I don't remember in details, but it's in my judgment. I quoted everything in my judgment, in that judgment. Then I told him, oh, you said, Judge, when am I writing the judgment? I quoted the law. We are not writing any judgment. Section 117, Section 118 is clear, Section 120 is clear. I am the only one who's writing the judgment here. He came back with a long email as to how, in his 20 years or 30 years experience, he used to write judgments for judges and whatever in this court. I told him that I'm not those judges. I write my own judgments. That is when I saw an opportunity. And the judgment went against SARS, not in favor of SARS. That is where he harbored his wishes. It didn't go according to his wishes. And the matter, I granted leave to appeal to the SCA deliberately, not to the full court. Not because full court has anything, but I just wanted to make sure that the matter goes to the SCA. The SCA confirmed me, though they never commented or made any comments on Section 120. I said the law then, and I showed the JP, and even SARS read it, and JP suggested, John Gomo, come with a strategy. What do we do here? I sat with SARS, said, let's craft a policy. This is how, let's discuss how we're going to select tax court members to the satisfaction of all. Because even other colleagues were asking me, Nelisa, why do we meet these people at the door? Some are teachers, some, not that there's anything wrong with the teachers. Let me explain here. If you are an accounting teacher, well and good, I can sit with you only if your accounting can help me in that particular matter. I even say, I can sit with someone from Edgar's, from SPA, who has done stock taking, because there are a lot of issues involving stock taking, where there's a lot of tax evasion. So a person who has done stock taking or stock counting, that person can help me in terms of Section 20 of the trading stock as to the closing and opening values. That is a very important section because a lot of tax gets siphoned through that. I can sit with someone working at SPA. So it has got nothing to do with undermining anyone. It's about whether this person can assist me in this particular matter. So that is how, with the JP, we came with a approach that 6 CVs, at least 3 CVs, I mean 3 CVs per member. At least from those 3 CVs, I can say this person has done pay as you earn. Because other people are very detailed in their CVs that have done pay as you earn, have done tax computation. Because at times you find someone who says, I've done tax, and then now you want to do capital gains tax calculation and everything, and then the person says, no, I've never done such a thing. Tax is very wide. So those CVs help you gauge. And just to add, when it comes to commercial members, pardon me, I don't know. The legislators, I'm happy that there are some legislators in the room. I don't know why tax court members, I mean, why commercial members are a matter of must in the constitution of the tax court. I'm going to say it openly here. It is a waste of taxpayers' money. Because at times you don't need a commercial member at all. The person sits next to you, says, I don't know, I've got nothing to say, I've got nothing to ask, because the matter is so straightforward. The rationale for tax court member, for commercial members, accountant members are always needed or required. But the rationale for having a commercial member, it's, for example, as I said, trading stock. Someone who has counted 10 bags of sugars and milli can help me from SPAR. That is his specialization. He understands it better. You have a straightforward matter of capital versus revenue. Why do we need a commercial member? The reason one might need a commercial member is when, for example, you have an engineering issue and the tax issues are around engineering. For example, I had another matter where there was claim for trading for obsolete stock. That is the deduction or depreciation for obsolete stock. And then I needed a technical person to tell me that if this nail is like this, it means it's obsolete. It cannot work in this. Then you need those people. I don't see why it must be a matter of must that you have those people. Because at the end of the day, they earn fees, they get there, they sit, they prepare for a week. Tax court files in Gauteng, you'll never have it, get a thin file, it's few times. Many times, this is the average. This pack is an average, it's about 200, 300 pages tax file. And then that person is going to claim preparation for 2 weeks, and then it's going to sit with you for another 10 days, and then it's going to claim writing judgment or preparing for judgment, and the person is sitting there doing nothing. You are working hard with the accountant.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Malema. Honorable MEC.
Thank you so much, Chief Justice. I'm covered. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Nyambi.
Thanks, CJ. Afternoon, Judge Mali.
Afternoon, Commissioner.
The first question has been covered by the JP. It's only one question. Mpumalanga High Court, in a manner of speaking, is still in its infancy. So how will you describe your experience in working in an environment that is still in a developmental stage as we are preparing to leave it and come back?
Mpumalanga is in infancy, but it is a strong infant. Because most of or some of the judges, few as they are, they come from Gauteng division, where we get cooked. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Judge Mali. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Nyambi. Commissioner Lepu.
Thank you, CJ, and good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
I think the first question I wanted to ask about how do they appoint commercial members? At least now I know you don't favor having commercial members. I wanted to know where do they find them? Is there a panel of commercial members in the test court? And the second question is actually inquiry from you. I know you do a lot of work for women lawyers with their seminars. So when are we starting now that we'll be back?
I didn't get that, Commissioner.
I'm saying that when will be starting to do those seminars of young women attorneys who want to be tax experts?
I'm always available. I just done one with Saulam Pumalanga. I'm always available when I'm invited to do work, to hold seminars for lawyers.
The first question about are commercial members really needed? That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, I thought you were covered. Thank you, Commissioner. The commercial members, what happens is that the Minister of Finance sends invites or advertise for tax court members, accountant and commercial members. It appears that everyone who applies gets appointed. That's what I discerned. And then now, SARS, then all those names, they go to SARS, and then that's where SARS, they pull whoever they want to pull and throw to the judge. They used to before we changed policy in 2018. I also trained, in fact, after we did that, I also did four trainings for tax court members, all of them, what they expect, what is expected from them in court, judging from that case that we are not expected to comment on issues of law. We are here to help me, to tell me if this water is at this level, because I'm not a scientist, whether that will form deduction. If you look at this water, is it 100% or 50% in terms of science, not in terms of law? So I tried to explain to them what is expected of them in court.
Thank you for the clarity. Jay?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Prof?
Thank you, sir. I'm covered.
Advocate Mbofesi?
Thank you, Suchi. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Thanks. Well, I have to declare that I know you very well, long before you even became a judge, and your family. But the issue actually relates to that, to the fact that I've known you for a long time, long before when you were still a tax consultant. So I want to, because, there's a whole lot of comments here about commercial expertise and all sorts of things that we have to face here. And when we find somebody like you who's a polished tax lawyer, maybe we give you an opportunity, as the CJ always says, to brag a little bit. So I'd like you just to briefly explain the depth of your expertise in that field, but also related, so that I don't have to ask a second question, related to that, to comment on why a person like you, who is of such a high caliber in tax, is not given an opportunity to be part of the Davis Commission, because there's something called the Davis Tax Commission, which has been chaired by Judge Davis, who also has the necessary expertise. But we don't want to run into situations where such important institutions are almost owned by a particular individual. To what extent could somebody like you, and those, you might know other people like that, start to be prepared to play those roles to take it forward if and when Judge Davis is no longer around?
Thank you, Commissioner Mpofu. Let me start with the second one, the last one. My understanding is that the Minister of Finance, in consultation with the Minister of Justice, if I'm correct in that part, is the one who appoints the commissioner or the chairperson for the tax commission. Because when that commission started, it started as that committee, it started as a tax review committee. And then in 2013 or 14, it changed to be a Davis Tax Committee. So I do not know whether, I don't know the criteria, put it this way. I don't know the criteria, how one gets there, But the second part of your question is people like us. I'm saying us because there are a lot of black tax lawyers who were together at SARS. Some of them are in practice, some of them are in the bar, but we don't get to be seen. we have to swim, we have to fight to be seen as a black tax lawyer. You have to put a huge fight, not lack of better words. You have to work hard, you have to push boundaries, put it this way. You have to push boundaries for you to be recognized, even from the clients, even the clients themselves. They believe that a white person is the only person who can do tax work. I believe that that core can be used in that commission, but as I said, it's within the prerogative of the Minister of Finance. And then the second question, you said something about my depth of expertise or brag about myself. I started as a prosecutor in 1988. I started as a prosecutor. But I have a disclosure to make. I never wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be an accountant. I grew up from standard 5, doing commercial studies, business studies, accounting, typing, everything. But in grade 12, which was standard 10 then, your accountant, your symbol for maths had to match that of accounting. I failed maths dismally. My accounting, it was just poles apart. So they admitted me in law as a second choice. And I was not, I got to university at the age of 17. So because there was also an option for applying a matriculation exemption, but I couldn't wait to be 23. It's good I didn't wait because at the age of 23, I was already a senior state prosecutor. So I started at 17, at the age of 19, I got appointed as a prosecutor, but I still had this passion and desire of doing commercial work. I decided I'm not going to go start all over from BCom degree. What I'm going to do is to look for something closer to commerce. That's how I ended up in tax. I resigned as a prosecutor in 1995, registered at University of Cape Town, and obtained my master's in tax in 1996. Thereafter, I couldn't get articles in a tax law firm because there were no tax law firms in Eastern Cape where I came from. Even in Cape Town, it was difficult for a black person. So I just served articles the normal way. In 1999, I was knocking at the doors of audit firms, law firms, wherever I could find tax. And Deloitte in Durban said, come, but you're going to start all over as a trainee tax consultant. I welcome that because I never practiced tax. So it was like repeating articles after serving articles. So I joined Deloitte in February 1999. I got recruited by SARS whilst I was at Deloitte, and then ended up joining SARS in August 1999. At SARS, the first business unit I worked for was law interpretation. I worked there for 2 years, where we were dealing with application for rulings in simple terms. I hope we all understand. Do I have to explain? Let me pass.
No.
Let me pass. Yes. Then in 2001, because SARS was dealing with issues of tax evasion, he had a new strategy, and then I was transferred to special investigations because of my background as a prosecutor. Then I headed special investigations, Gauteng North, covering Pretoria, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga. I was heading special investigations, Gauteng North, for 3 years. And when again it was decided that I must be seconded at NPA because NPA wanted to start a tax unit And it was said that there was no one was available to start a tax unit. And again, my prosecution background helped. And then I moved to NPA to start a tax prosecution unit. I didn't stay long. I think about 7 months, they called me back to excise unit to head, because at that stage, there was a separation of customs business unit from excise unit in order to monitor the revenue of excise and transform excise, because excise unit was not very transformed, not necessarily in terms of incumbents who were doing the job, but even the policies and everything. And then I got back, I headed excise, and as part of transformation, I had to spend some time at Her Majesty Revenue and Customs Excise in UK for a month as part of a study, benchmark study. And I came back and implemented the policies. And there's a policy which we worked on, which is running successfully, called Duty at Source, or DAS. It assisted a lot in terms of collecting excise duties, and it still assists. Then it was at that stage, after I ensured that DAS is working, everything is fine.
Can you
that I
summarize?
Yes, that I decided I'm ready now to open my law firm, because I also realized that there were no opportunities for Black kids or Black people. And then opening my law firm gave me the opportunity to transfer the skill.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, sir. Advocate KNSC.
Chief Justice, I'm covered.
Thank you. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Chief Justice. It's good to hear such a renowned expert on tax matters. Just one question, Judge. I know you mentioned this in the beginning. Just like to know how you're doing with your health nowadays, and is it impacting at all on your ability to get to work and make these wonderful or not wonderful judgments, depending on which side you are on tax matters?
Thank you, Commissioner. I am healed, and I must say, the fact that Gauteng now is working on virtually really assists, because one of the problems I had then was the driving between home, Joburg and Pretoria. And as I divulge here, I had 2 surgeries on my left arm, which is my dominant hand.
Thank you very much. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sigogo. Thank you so much. Thank you, Honorable Singh. Commissioner Sigogo.
Thank you, CJ. Good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I wanted to talk to you about your expertise in tax, and that has been covered very well, and how you'll put your expertise at work in Johannesburg as opposed to Mpumalanga, but I'm covered. You need not answer that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge Mali. You're excused.
Thank you, Commissioners.